Welcome to the second module of industrial automation, that is fluid power control system and the control. So continuing from the last lecture in which we were discussing about the various types of fluid power generators. So in the last lecture, continuing from the last lecture, we have already discussed that there are two types of compressors that are being used for compressing the air. First are the positive displacement type of compressors, and the second are the non-positive or dynamic type of the compressors. So then we have understood that what is positive displacement type of compressors. So positive displacement type of compressors are those compressors in which there is reduction in the volume of the air, and then pressure is increased and increase in the temperature also. So the positive displacement compressors often include reciprocating or the piston type, diaphragm type, vane type, and the screw type. So in the last lecture, we have also discussed about the reciprocating or the piston type of the compressor. So then in this lecture, we are going to start with the variations that we can have in the piston type or the reciprocating type of the compressors. Now, as you see in these figures on your screen, the reciprocating the compressors can come in various variations. So first variation is the double acting reciprocating piston compressors. So in the single acting, if we talk about the in single acting, then it will be producing the pulsed output will be there. You will be getting one pulse in one stroke of the crankshaft. Now, if we talk about the double acting cylinder, then in the double acting cylinder, the compression is taking place on both sides of the piston, on this side also and on this side also. So if the compression is taking on both sides of the piston, then we will be getting two pulses in a single stroke. So we have the inlet and outlet on both sides of the inlet valve and outlet valves on both sides of the pistons, as you see in this figure here. Now, when when the air comes on this side, then during the piston movement in this direction, it gets compressed here and we get the outlet. And when it moves in this side, the inlet air comes from here and it gets compressed. When it moves, the piston moves in this direction and we get the outlet from here. So you see that these are the annular paths, and these annular paths are common for both of the sides. So there is entry and exit of the air, entry of the normal air through the valves on both sides, and the exit of the compressed air to this common annular path from the for the outlet you see here. So this is the working of the double acting reciprocating piston compressor. Then next is the multi-stage reciprocating or piston compressor. Now multi-stage is that usually the multi-stage compressors are used where where the pressure requirement is high. We have to get the delivery at the high pressures. Then what happens? We know that this is the let there are two stages. This is the stage one and this is the stage two. Now, in the stage one, when the inlet of the air, ambient air comes in this direction, it gets compressed here and then it moves. This is the outlet. Then it moves to the intercooler. Now, this is your intercooler. Now, the function of the intercooler is to cool the air. Now, as we know, when the compression takes place, when the volume gets reduced, the molecules or the air particles will come closer to each other, and due to the frictional movement between the molecules of the air, there is increase in the temperature. Now, but at when this high temperature of the air can damage the parts of the other parts of the pneumatic system. So what we have to do, we have to cool the air. So that's why we have employed intercooler in between the two stages. Now, when the air passes through this intercooler, it will act as an heat exchanger and it will cool the passing air and then the air moves to the second stage cylinder that there we will get the high pressure. Now in this, the air is again compressed, okay, and it moves to the outlet at the required pressure. So the multi-stage compressors, in you can have n number of stages. So in this, the compression ratio will be, you will achieve compression ratio in both the stages, and you will get the air delivery at high pressure. Now, the another variation, the third variation of this type of piston type of compressors is the combined two-stage reciprocating piston compressor. Now, what is there? Now we see here, if you see the multi-stage reciprocating compressor here, then there are two different stages. We have two different stages, and in these two stages we have an intercooler. We can say that there are two piston cylinder arrangements are there, but so it, what is the disadvantage? It will make the construction of the system more jumbled. So to overcome that thing, we will be having the combined two-stage reciprocating piston compressor. In this, there are the two stages, but you will achieve those two stages by only using the single piston and cylinder arrangement, but with a very little modification in the construction of the piston. So what happens when the inlet air comes here? You see that the air gets entrapped in these areas. There will get entrapped. Now it will get compressed, and the compressed air will move from this path through this annular passage. It will move to the intercooler again. So again, as I told you earlier, it will get cooled in this intercooler, and again it will come to this area of the piston cylinder arrangement, and this embossed part of this piston again compresses the air that is present here, and the air will move out of the outlet with high pressure. So this is the working of the two-stage reciprocating piston type of the compressor. Here how it is different from the multi-stage. In this, we get the stages by using only 1 amp piston and cylinder arrangement, but just with a little modification in the construction of the piston. Okay, so hope you understand these compressors. Now, next type of the positive displacement compressor is the diaphragm type of the compressor. Now, this is the schematic of this diaphragm type of the compressor. So what happens? The piston reciprocates by a motor driven crankshaft. So what we have a piston here. This is the piston, and it is connected to the connecting rod, and further it is connected to the crankshaft, and the crankshaft may be connected to your motor. So motor drives your crankshaft, and the crankshaft drives the connecting rod, and the connecting rod will drive your piston. So what we have this type of arrangement. So as the piston moves down, it pulls the hydraulic fluid down, causing the diaphragm to move along, and the air is sucked in. So you see at the top, the green path, it shows the air inlet, and the yellow path shows you the air outlet. And this red in color is the fluid. There may be some hydraulic fluid, some oil may be there, that will be responsible for the movement of the diaphragm. When the piston moves down, due to this hydraulic fluid that is linked with the diaphragm moves downwards. Then when the diaphragm moves downwards, the ambient air will come from the atmosphere into this blue area. Okay. Now when the piston moves upward, then due to this fluid link that is linking the piston and the diaphragm, it will make the diaphragm to move upwards. When the piston moves inwards, then the air from this blue area will go to the air outlet, and that will be the compressed air. So this is the whole working of the diaphragm type of the compressor. So when the piston moves up, the fluid pushes the diaphragm up, causing the ejection of the air from the outlet port. Since the flexible diaphragm is placed between the piston, so there is no air contamination takes place. Now, what is the advantage of this type of the compressor, diaphragm type of compressor over the orthodox compressors like reciprocating compressors is that we know that in the reciprocating compressor there are the oil rings are there, oil rings that keep on lubricating the piston. Now when so there is the presence of air in the cylinder. So what happens when the air enters that cylinder, it gets contaminated with the oil inside, present lubricating oil that is present inside the cylinder. So that air gets contaminated and it moves to the rest part of the fluid system. Now, sometimes the automation system may be employed in the food processing industries where this contamination is not desirable. So, for those type of purposes, we have to use such a compressor in which the air should not get contaminated with the lubricating oil. So that is the diaphragm type of the compressor. So here there is a diaphragm which separates the air blue portion from the red portion. So the air will never get contaminated with the hydraulic fluid. So that is the advantage of the diaphragm type of the compressors. So these are the small capacity compressors because the diaphragm is little bit fragile. So that's why no high pressure is generated, and also the capacity of these type of compressors is also very less. So what is the advantage we have discussed earlier also. So in piston compressors, the lubricating oil from the piston's valve may contaminate the compressed air. The contamination is undesirable in food, pharmaceutical, and chemical industries. So the disadvantage or the limitation of this type of compressor is the low pressure development. Okay. So next we move to the rotary vane type compressor. So this is the construction of the rotary vane type of the compressor. So on one side we have the inlet and on one side we have the outlet as you see in the figure. Now there are the vanes. So these are the vanes in this or that are fixed to the rotor, and this fixing of the vanes to the rotor is eccentric. So though these are not in the center, these are little bit the center is little bit away from the actual center. So that's why there is eccentricity that is there as you see in the figure. So the unbalanced vane compressor consists of spring-loaded vanes sitting in the slots of the rotors. So we have the rotor, and in this the vanes are there that are spring-loaded. Means that the vanes can move inside and outside depending upon their position on the rotor. The pumping action occurs due to the movement of the vanes along the camring. Okay, so the rotor is eccentric to camring. As the rotor rotates, the vanes follow the inner surface of the camring. The space between the vanes increases near the outlet due to the eccentricity. So if you see that due to this eccentricity, the space of the vanes decreases at these points. You see here, the space decreases here. Near the inlet, the space is more. But as we move, as the rotor rotates and the entrapped air moves near to the outlet, then the volume in which the air is entrapped gets decreased. Due to the decrease in the volume, the pressure gets increased and we will get the high pressure air at this outlet. So this causes compression of the air. So these compressors are free from pulsation. So if the eccentricity is zero, no flow takes place. So one of the limitation of the reciprocating type of compressor is that you will in the reciprocating type of compressor, we will always be getting the pulsating air. Pulsating means that we will get one volume of the pressurized air, then we will not get it. Then again we will get it, not get it. That is the pulsation. But when we talk about the rotary type of the compressors, no pulsation is there. You will getting the continuous supply of the air at the outlet. Okay. So this is the working of the rotary vane type compressor. So next type of the positive displacement compressor is the screw type compressors. So this is the construction of the screw type of the compressor. So it has two meshing screws. So as you see in the figure, there are two meshing screws are there. So this is intermeshing screws, two are there. The air from the inlet is trapped between the meshing screws and is compressed. So when the air comes from the inlet, it gets entrapped between the space that is there between the two meshing screws. Okay, the contact between two meshing surface is minimum, hence no cooling is required. And so this is the screw type of the connection. So the contact area between the two screws will be very less, and due to this less contact area, the friction will always be less. Okay, so there is no cooling required. So these systems are quiet in operation compared to the piston type. So the operation or the working of this type of the compressor is very quiet as compared to the piston type of the compressors. Okay, the screws are synchronized by using external timing gears. So first and out of the casing, the screw gears are connected with the external timing gears. So what happens when the air comes here, it gets entrapped between the space that is between the two screws, two machine screws, and that space is very less. And due to less space, what happens? There is increase in the pressure, and we will get the pressurized air at the other end of the system. So that is the screw type of the compressor. So next, now as in the previous slides, we have discussed about the two types of the compressors. So we have discussed about the positive displacement type of the compressors, in which we have discussed about the two workings. One is for reciprocating, that is piston type cylinders. It may have the variations like multi-stage, dipole acting, or the combined stage. And the second category is and diaphragm also, it comes in this category of reciprocating. And second are the rotary type of the compressors. Those are vane type and the screw type. Now let's try to figure out the differences or a comparison between these type of the compressors, between reciprocating and the rotary compressors. So you see this table. So on in column 1 we have the features with respect to which the difference is there. We have done the difference, and on one side we have the reciprocating compressors, and on the other side we are having the rotary compressors. So working principle in case of the reciprocating is the piston cylinder, that is the movement is to and fro as we have done. And in rotating compressor, the working is they are having the rotating elements like screw, maybe their vane, lobe, and scroll type of compressors. Okay, flow type is intermittent. So in reciprocating, we will be getting the compressed air supply when the compression takes place. Okay, when the expansion takes place, we will not get any supply. So due to this, there is the supply of the air in case of the reciprocating is intermittent, or maybe it called as the pulsating also. And in the rotary compressor, you will be getting the continuous flow of the compressed air. Okay, that pressure range. So in the reciprocating type of the compressor, the pressure that of the air that is obtained is very high. That is about, you can get the pressure up to 1000 bars. But when we talk about the pressure range of the rotary type of the compressor, it is low medium. So we can only get the pressure range up to 15 bars. Next is the volume capacity. So then in case of the reciprocating, the volume is very low. It is less than 1000 CFM. CFM stands for cubic foot per minute. Okay. Then In case of the rotary compressors, the capacity is high, that is more than 1000 cubic foot per minute. Okay. So now, if we talk about the noise and vibrations, so due to more moving parts, the noise and vibrations of the reciprocating type of compressors is high as compared to the rotary type of compressors. Okay. So if we talk about the size, then the reciprocating compressors are more bulky than the rotary compressors. Those are compact. Maintenance in reciprocating is high. In rotary, the maintenance is less. If we talk about the efficiency, then high at high temperatures, high at high pressures, high at continuous large flows. So if we want the supply at a higher pressure, then we will be going to employ the reciprocating type of the compressor. And but if I want the supply as a continuous supply of the compressed air, but should be at the low temperature, then we will be employing the rotary type of the compressors. Okay. So applications, when we talk about the reciprocating type of applications where these are employed, that reciprocating compressors are employed in refrigeration, CNG applications, small workshops. So when we talk about the rotary compressors, so these are employed in large industries, HVAC, pneumatic tools. So these are the various types of the applications of the reciprocating and the rotary type of the compressor. Okay. So next we come to the non-positive or dynamic displacement compressors. So in these compressors, air or gas is continuously accelerated by an impeller or rotor to a higher velocity. That kinetic energy is converted into pressure energy in a diffuser or a casing. Okay, so what happens? There is no reduction in the volume here. So that's why these are known as the non-positive type of the displacement. So in positive, there is reduction in the volume, but in non-positive, there is no reduction in the volume of the air. So that is the difference. So what happens in these type of compressors? So what happens? Continuously, the air is accelerated to a higher velocity, then that high kinetic energy present due to the high velocity in the air is converted into the high pressure energy with the help of a diffuser or a casing. Okay, so when we talk about the non-positive or dynamic displacement compressors, then these include centrifugal compressor, axial flow compressors, and mixed flow compressors. First is our centrifugal type of the compressors. So I just want to add something here, that these type of compressors are also known as the blowers. Okay. So when large volume of the compressed air and at a very low pressure is required in applications such as ventilators, combustion systems, and pneumatic powder blower conveyors, the dynamic compressors can be used. So first of all, these compressors are employed where the pressure requirement is very low, but large volume of the air is also required at the same time. So pressure is not very much importance, but the volume is of the some importance. Now the impeller rotates at high pressure. So this is the impeller, rotates at high speed. It may be coupled up with the motor out of the casing. So large volume of the low pressure air can be provided by the blowers. So what happens? The blowers draws the air in. So this is the inlet. So when the blower rotates, it draws the ambient air from this side. It increases its velocity and it moves out. And the impeller flinges it out due to centrifugal force. So it gets out of the impeller here with high pressure and with high volume of the air can be get at this outlet. Okay. Next is the axial flow compressors. So air flow parallel to the axis of the rotation. So you see, firstly let's understand the construction of this type of the compressor. So we have we have this casing. Now casing is diffuser casing is there. Okay. So we have a drum, rotor drum is there. So drum is mounted on the rotor, and some blades you see the blades are fixed with the rotors. So some of the and when the rotator rotates, these blades that are fixed to the rotor will also rotate. Okay. And some of the blades are fixed to the casing. So these are known as the stator blades. One are the rotor blades that rotates with the drum, and one are the stator blades. Those are fixed to the casing and they do not rotate. Okay, so use the parallel axial flow compressor. It uses the rotor blades to accelerate the air. So it firstly the air will get accelerated due to the rotation of the rotor blades and stator blades to convert velocity in the pressure. Then that high velocity will be converted into the high pressure with the help of the diffuser casing you see here. So that can handle very high volumes. So high volumes of air can be handled at relatively low pressure rises per stage. Okay, so these are the stages. So when one rotor, one stator will make a stage. Next, one rotor, one stator will make another stage. So the applications of these type of the axial flow compressors are jet engines, gas turbine, power plants. Okay, so this is all for today. So now we have completed with the fluid power generators. So in the next module, we will be discussing the other parts of the fluid power system. So thank you.